iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, let's take a look at some of the weekend action in fantasy baseball, some spring training news and notes, and then, of course, we'll get to our Houston Astros team preview. So, first of all, Yu Darvish goes 1 2/3 scoreless innings in his first spring start. I like it. I like it a lot. First full season back after Tommy John surgery. I like Yu Darvish. Retrospectively, in one of my drafts, I could have had Darvish in round 4. I chose to take Kyle Seager instead at labor. Will I be regretting that? We'll have to see. But I do like Yu Darvish this year. And I think I can get him at a discount. This is going to be the only year I get Yu Darvish at a discount. So I've got to take advantage of that if it happens. If it's there, I'm on. Right? Because people are like, well, he's coming back. Is he healthy? I don't know. That lowers his value a little bit. Right? Normally, he could be going in the second, third round of drafts. Here, he's going 4th and 5th. At an auction, this guy, he could be a $20, $25 player who could go for 18 or 20. So you've got to look for the discounts where they appear. And when they appear, boom, you take advantage of them. Rich Hill went 2 innings. Now, let me tell you something about the Cactus League versus the Grapefruit League. First of all, where do they get these names from? I mean, why isn't it the Honeydew Melon League or the Cantaloupe League? I don't know. I find that I trust the Grapefruit League way more than I trust the Cactus League. First of all, there are very few teams in the Cactus League. I don't know, was it like 8, 10? I don't know what the exact number is off the top of my head, but I know it's fewer than the Grapefruit League. Secondly, the air seems thin in Arizona. The ball's flying around there. Boom. No, so if guys are pitching well in the Cactus League, I'm happy to see that. But when guys are jacking out home runs, I don't trust that one bit. Oh, so-and-so's got 14 home runs in the Cactus League. Whatever. Now, Grapefruit League, the stadiums, I think, are a little bigger. The air is a little thicker. Maybe because of the humidity here. It's not a dry heat in Florida. I think when guys jack out 8 home runs in the Grapefruit League, that's a good season. When they jack out 8 in the Cactus League, I go, that's Tuesday. So when a guy has a good start in the Grapefruit League, I'm way more interested, I think, than the Cactus League because I've been burned by the Cactus League. I've been pricked by the Cactus League way too many times. All right? And that didn't sound good, by the way. But Rich Hill went 2 scoreless in the Cactus League. Good to see that against the Brewers. Danny Salazar struck out 3 batters in 2 innings against the Cubs. All right, so good to see there. Jason Kipnis is dealing with a strange rotator cuff. Uh-oh. Now, they gave him a cortisone shot. They're hoping to give it some rest. But you know what this tells you? He's got this issue all season. I'm telling you this right now. He will have this issue for the better part of the season. Now, here's the good news. He's not a pitcher. He's at second base. It's a quick, easy throw. So what we want to see Kipnis not do is aggravate it. We don't want him to aggravate the injury. If he can go and not aggravate the injury, he can be fine. Maybe he loses a few at-bats here or there, but he can get through the season. But if he starts aggravating the injury, could be a bad thing. Speaking of injuries, Zach Britton says there's no longer an issue with his oblique. I believe it when I see it. I don't know if I'm trusting that, but whatever. I still will watch it. I think it's very early in the spring training. I'm not worried about Zach Britton. Not worried about him at all. I'm just saying I don't know whether obliques go away in less than 4 or 5 days. Very rare. Even if it's a minor oblique. Even if it's minor, I'm going to watch that closely. Okay? So, time now to turn our attention to the Houston Astros podcast. our team preview that we will do today. Let's start it out at catcher, Brian McCann. Consistency, thy name is Brian McCann. I need to read you these numbers because I was completely shocked when I saw them. This is beginning from 2006 going to 2016. 2493, 1892, 2387, 2194, 2177, 2471, 2067, 2057, 2375, 2619, 2058. You getting bored yet? That's Brian McCann's home run and RBIs. 2020, 2020, 2020, 20, except for 1 year at 18. Wow. Wow. So you know what? Let's put him down for 20 this year. Let's put him down for 20. I'm in. So you know what? He's never going to hit for a high batting average. He's going to hit somewhere between 230 and 250 with 20 home runs and 60 RBIs. I like him. He's on a good team. They needed him desperately. Who are the left-handed bats in that lineup? Norichika Aoki? Please. They added Josh Reddick and Brian McCann because they needed some left-handed pop. So I love Brian McCann in that order. You'll have Altuve 1, right? Or will you have Springer 1? I take that back. Springer 1, Bregman 2, Altuve 3. Could I argue that McCann will be maybe Gaddis 4, McCann 5? I think McCann's going to hit 5th or 6th in this lineup. I think 5th. Wait, Altuve 1, Bregman 2, Springer 1, Bregman 2, Altuve 3, Correa 4, Gaddis 5, McCann 6, something like that. Not bad. Then I think I go McCann 5, Gaddis 6, Reddick 7 to get a little left, right, left there. Now, I am worried a little bit about Evan Gaddis this year. That's the guy I'm worried about. I think they said he's going to bat cleanup, but I don't know. Maybe. I think I'd rather him batting 5th or 6th in this lineup. I don't know if I need him batting cleanup. But I think the home runs go down. I think that the at-bats go down slightly. But I think we're looking at a guy who he'll qualify at catcher, but it won't be pretty. Right? He'll qualify in most leagues. So last year, how many games he had? 55? I'll give him about 25 this year. Not as many, but he'll qualify. But I think Gaddis is a great guy to trade right now. I would prefer to trade Evan Gaddis because I think you can get a lot for him. But last year, he was the guy. This year, it's Brian McCann. So I think Brian McCann's not losing his job anytime soon. They brought Brian McCann over to play him. So McCann's going to play, and Gaddis is going to be the DH, and he'll catch in the games that McCann needs to sit. So if McCann goes 110 to 120 games, Gaddis goes about 40. There you go. At first base, this is a mess here. This is a real mess. It looks like the guy is Yulieski Gurriel. Now, Gurriel is from Cuba, and I think this is a guy who is a very good contact hitter. Is he a great hitter? I'm not so sure about that, but he's a contact hitter. So I see him with, hitting 290 to 300, maybe 10 home runs and 70, 75 RBIs. Not too much speed, hitting low in the order. I don't know. I think he's a little overrated. I think he'll help my average, and maybe some RBIs. I just don't know what else he's going to do, and I don't know where he's going to hit. I think he's going to hit 8th in this lineup. I do. I think they'll bat Aoki at 9, so Gurriel's 8. It's just I don't think this is a good spot for him. I just don't see where he fits this team. I like guys, and here's the other thing about Gurriel. And let me give you a piece of fantasy advice. Try to get your first baseman to hit 30 home runs. If your first baseman doesn't hit 30 home runs, you're at a disadvantage. So, for example, you have Jose Abreu, I have Gurriel. You have 30 home runs or so, I've got 10. You're up 20. I got to make that up somewhere else. Right? Yes, he might hit 290, but he's low in power, he's low in speed, he's low in runs, he's low in RBIs, he's low. So is he a corner? Yeah, meh. Is he a utility? Maybe. He's fine at utility. He's okay at corner. He's not your first baseman. If he's your first baseman, my guess is good chance you're not winning your league. I mean, even his on-base percentage was low. It was .292 last year. That's awful. Awful. Now, they do have A.J. Reed there, who, can we just say, post-hype sleeper? Post-hype sleeper. Now, I think A.J. Reed will end up getting traded. I think if the Astros are in contention, and I think they will be, I could easily see them trading A.J. Reed for what they need come the trade deadline. And I think A.J. Reed will fetch a very good player. I think he will. You know, whether it's a setup guy, a guy in the bullpen, another starter, which I believe it probably will be. I think it'll be a starter. I think you trade A.J. Reed for a starter. I think you're going to be fine. I think you need to do that. But I don't think I do that today. I think I wait for A.J. Reed to hit the cover off the ball in the minor leagues. I mean, really hit the cover off the ball in the minor leagues. And build on that and then trade him. Because, you know, last year in the minor leagues, he had 15 home runs and 261 at-bats, hitting .291. He does that again this year. His stock goes back up, and the Astros can move him for what they need. That's what I want to see in A.J. Reed. So, if you're in a keeper league and you have like 9 rounds of a keeper league and you want to take A.J. Reed with your last pick, I love it. I think it's genius. Hold on to him. By July, he may end up in San Diego somewhere. He may end up on some crappy team as a first baseman. Who knows? Will Myers gets hurt. They get A.J. Reed. I'm just throwing out an idea. I don't know if it's going to be. I'm just saying. All right. I'm just saying Jose Altuve is pretty darn good. Jose Altuve might be one of my favorite players. Guy hits over 300. He showed power last year. I don't think 24 is for real. I don't think 96 RBIs are for real. But what if he gives me like 18 and 80? Will I take it? You better believe I will. What about my 35 stolen bases that I'm going to get and my runs scored? This guy's a top 5 fantasy player. I love him. There's nothing not to like with Jose Altuve. At shortstop, Carlos Correa is going to fall in your draft. It's going to fall. Because last year, people took him in the top 5, 6 picks, and he didn't perform very well. He had 20 home runs. People are hoping for 30. He had 76 runs scored. People wanted 90. He had 274. People wanted 300. He didn't do what people expected him to do. Because of that, he's going in the second round of most drafts, and I think he's a very good pick in the second round. I really, really do. So keep your eye on Correa. He's a value guy. The other guy at third base is Alex Bregman. So let me tell you something that I thought was genius. So normally what happens is when players come up from the minors and they perform poorly, they get sent down again, right? The guy ends up on a shuttle back to AAA. And because of that, players lose confidence. Oh, I'm not very good. I didn't do very well. I'm out of here, right? And it's been a problem. It's been a struggle. But what the Astros did that was terrific was they kept with Bregman. They didn't send him back down. They kept him on the Major League roster to fix his problems on the Major League roster. That was brilliant. By doing that, they gave him confidence. They gave him confidence because they corrected it not in AAA, not in Corpus Christi, but on the spot. So then when he started to hit well toward the end of last year, and he did, he started to hit well toward the end of the season, it builds his confidence for this year. Now, I heard Jim Bowden from SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio say that he's a better real-life player than fantasy player, and that may be true. That being said, if he hits second in this lineup, I like him in fantasy too. Now, is he a little overvalued? Yes. Is he going higher than Maikel Franco and Miguel Sano? Yes. Is he going higher than Nick Castellanos? Yes. Should he? Probably not. Probably not. But we love guys with high upside, and Alex Bregman is certainly one of those guys. All right, let's take a look at the Astros outfield. You have to begin with George Springer. George Springer had 644 at-bats. 644 at-bats last year. Played in 162 games. So the first thing I got to tell you right here is be careful. Guys don't usually get that many at-bats 2 years in a row. Guys don't usually stay that healthy 2 years in a row. Now, do I wish that on Springer? Absolutely not, but I just don't expect that. Secondly, we didn't see the stolen bases that we were hoping for. We only saw 9 last year. The dude hit 261. Now, maybe he'll never hit 300, and that's okay, but I do expect more than 9 stolen bases. He was stealing bases when he had the opportunity, not just because, I want to steal. So they were waiting for the perfect spot. So do I expect 10? Probably. Do I think I can get 30 home runs and 10 stolen bases from Springer? Yes, I do. Is that going to be about it? Probably so. It's a good player, but I think it's a 3rd round pick. He's a 3rd round pick. But I don't think he's that 1st round player that people thought he would be a couple of years ago. Right, George Springer, oh my God. This guy's going to be amazing. He's Mike Trout Jr. He's not Mike Trout. He's okay. He's more of a sea bass than a Trout, you know? All right, the Astros brought over Josh Reddick this year. And Josh Reddick cannot stay healthy. Here's the last 4 years of at-bats. 385, 363, 526, 398. Doesn't stay healthy. But the year that he gave 526 at-bats, and the year in 2012 he had 611 at-bats, I want to give you his numbers. In 2012, he had 32 home runs and 11 stolen bases. In 2015, he had 20 home runs and 10 stolen bases. So ask yourself this question. Do you think Josh Reddick can get 500 at-bats? Because if he can, 20 and 10 is absolutely in the cards for him. If he can't, well, then you know what's going to happen. Will I take a shot at Josh Reddick? Absolutely, as my 5th outfielder. He can be my 5th outfielder anytime he wants. More than that, no thanks. Left field, I think you're going to see a poo-poo platter, and when I say poo-poo platter, I mean poo-poo. Norichike Aoki, who, his speed has gone down tremendously from 30 back in 2012 to 7 last year. Maybe you see a little Carlos Beltran. He's like 100 years old. He's still playing. Teoscar Hernandez, Tony Kemp, Marwin Gonzalez. I don't know. I think you just see a poo-poo platter of guys, none of whom I really like very much in fantasy baseball. Okay, let's get to the pitching staff. And I want to start backwards. I'm going to start a closer. So, Ken Giles comes over last year in a trade with Philadelphia. And immediately, they don't name him the starting closer. And at this point, I panic. And here's why. Ken Giles was really good the year they brought him over from Philadelphia. 2015, the guy had 70 innings, 15 saves, an ERA of 1.80. 1.80. Let up 2 home runs in 70 innings. Two. Houston gets him, and they're like, well, he's going to, I don't know, maybe it's Luke Gregerson. I don't know, Will Harris. And I think that messed with his mind. I do. I think it messed with his mind. I think this guy came over thinking was the closer, expecting he was a closer, and then supremely disappointed when he wasn't the closer. And then in the first half of the year, he was a disaster. Now, he did improve in the second half, and let me just give you one number you need to know. 2, actually. 65 innings, 102 strikeouts. Number 1. Secondly, 102 strikeouts, 25 walks. That's pretty good, too. So yes, Ken Giles is in the upper tier of closers if they just let him close. Now, the bullpen is pretty good. I like Will Harris. I like Luke Gregerson. I like Tony Zip. I think he's a pretty good player. I think these are guys that will help the Astros immeasurably, and it'll put less pressure on Ken Giles, which I don't want to put any pressure on Ken Giles. I think Ken Giles is a disaster when it comes to pressure. You give Ken Giles pressure, we got issues. We got a multitude of issues. So, let's look at the starting staff. First, I'm going to give you my favorite guy. My favorite guy is a guy named Lance McCullers. Lance McCullers, when he pitches, he's really good. 81 innings, 106 strikeouts last year. The walks are very high. He had 45 walks compared to 106 strikeouts. I don't like that ratio, but he's 23 years old, and man, he throws hard. But here's the problem. He has never in his career thrown for more than 125 innings, ever. So when you're drafting Lance McCullers, you're drafting 160 innings tops. Tops. So be careful with that. Joe Musgrove, I'm throwing on my team. Chris Davinsky, I'm throwing on my team in a reserve round. Nothing more than that at best. What about Colin McHugh? Colin McHugh was absolutely exceptional in 2014. I mean, really. Then in 2015, he was good, but 2016, he really wasn't. But here's what he has. He's got skills and he strikes guys out. And his walk-to-strikeout ratio is pretty good. So what I really like about Colin McHugh is I like when he is in DFS. I think he's a better DFS starter than he is for me in a seasonal league. Okay? Better in DFS than seasonal because he's the kind of guy that can go 8 innings and 8 strikeouts, and I really like that. Mike Fiers, I want no part of. 0 parts, 0 shares. And the last guy is Dallas Keuchel, and Keuchel is just an enigma. I don't think he's as good as he was in his heyday, but I don't think he was as bad as he was last year. So, look, what should you do with him? Should you draft him? Absolutely. But I'm not going to overpay for him. I don't want him as my second pick. I want him as my third pitcher. If he's my second pitcher, I don't like my team. If he's my third pitcher, I do. It's a lot like Zach Greinke. I got Zach Greinke as my third starter in labor. I love it. But if he's my second starter, I'm not loving it. I know that's just one, it's slight, but it's a slight difference that could make a huge difference on your fantasy roster. Keuchel, good, not great. I want 2 guys better than him, because if they're better than him, I can deal with his mediocrity if he's not good. I can handle it. So watch that closely. Try to get him as your third guy. But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Please check out scoutfantasy.com. Enter the promo code ROTO. That's ROTO. You pay for 1 month. We'll get you 2 more for free. You'll get access to some of the best stuff in the business. We've got 3 guys who do baseball at Scout. Myself, Adam Ronis, and Sean Childs. Winners of expert leagues, home leagues, high-stakes leagues. You name it, we're winning it. And we want you to be part of the Scout Army. So do that with us, please, at scoutfantasy.com. Enter the promo code ROTO, ROTO. Pay for 1 month, get 2 more for free. All right, guys, time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Back tomorrow with more. So have a great day. Be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!